Hi, my name is Lindsay, and welcome to my living room. I'm going to invite that we practice a seated Qigong sequence today. While Qigong is traditionally done standing, if you have things going on with your body where it's either not appropriate for your energy level or for things going on in the joints in the lower body to stand for too long, then modifying and doing these practices seated can be a great option. So I'm going to invite that you find a chair in your home, something like a simple dining chair that doesn't have wheels or arms and maybe has a sturdy back. And we're going to just check that our chair aligns better with our body before we begin our practice. So when you sit down in your chair, maybe make sure that your knees and your hips are either in line or that maybe your hips are a little bit higher than your knees. This is going to make it easier on your hip flexors and maybe make it easier to do this practice seated for a period of time. Another thing that you may want to do to support your body is if you know that you're struggling in your core strength, and it's challenging to sit up tall for a while, maybe considering grabbing a cushion off your couch or off your bed to place behind your back so that you have a little bit more support, but you can still sit maybe lightly away from the back of your chair, or know that the back of your chair is there if you need to sit back for a moment and give yourself a little more support. But we're going to start our practice by being a little more intentional with our seat. So first, noticing your feet, and can you bring your feet to be about your hips width distance apart? Stack your knees over your ankles in order to create two 90-degree angles with your legs. Maybe check in with your sit bones. Can you wiggle around and find where you feel about even in your sit bones? And then perhaps lightly tilt the pelvis forward to have a foundation from which to grow your spine up. Maybe thinking about lengthening the front line of your torso, and when you get to your neck, think about maybe lengthening the back line of your neck so you're extending out through the crown of your head. If your shoulders are trying to help you sit taller, relax your shoulders back and down, and either have your hands in your lap or down by your sides, whatever feels more comfortable for you. And as we settle in, we're just going to check in with our body for a few moments. And also notice how we feel at the beginning of our practice. And it may feel more safe for you to keep your eyes open, maybe with your gaze lightly down towards ground, or more comfortable to close your eyes, so you choose. Noticing how your body feels in the shape that you've chosen, with the support that you've chosen. Can you feel your sit bones connecting to your support, your feet connecting to ground? And as the larger parts of you settle down, maybe it's a little easier to notice the flow of your breath in and out. Feeling that sense of expansion as you inhale, that sense of letting go and release as you exhale. And perhaps to help your system settle, you just want to notice your body and your breath for a little more time. Or if it's appropriate for you, maybe see if you can expand your awareness to also notice the more intangible parts of you. Notice your feelings, your thoughts. What wants to float past your awareness and arise and dissipate within you from moment to moment. Checking in with your energy level. Is it high or low? And if there's any parts of you that feel more tender or resistant to settling down, any parts that are really enjoying it. Just taking a few more breaths to check in with you And then I'm going to invite that we experiment with bringing a little movement into the body. First with the head. Slowly begin to guide your gaze any amount down towards the earth, stretching into the back of your neck. And then allow your next inhale to maybe roll your right ear over your right shoulder. Exhale, bring the gaze down. And then inhale your left ear over your left shoulder. As we begin to move, we're seeing what we can not only move at the pace of our breath, but also invite to soften. Kind of feeling in those places that are tight, that could use a little more encouragement to feel less stuck. And so we're going to start our practice with doing different movements to lubricate the body, to invite things to flow better through our system. You may want to continue just rocking your head from side to side. Or the next time you bring your right ear towards your right shoulder, maybe bring your gaze up and then bring your gaze down, drawing a circle. Perhaps inhaling as you bring your gaze up, exhaling as you bring your gaze down. But trying to explore your edges, if that's appropriate for you, or stay a ways behind them. What would still bring a sense of enjoyment in this movement? And perhaps the next time you bring your gaze down, change direction. You're circling. Just enjoying 2 more rotations here. Or maybe 2 more times rocking the head side to side. And when you finished your last time and you bring your gaze down, gently guide your head back up to stack over your shoulders and your hips. And then we're going to bring our attention towards the arms. So we're going to begin to lubricate the joints in the arms. First by seeing if, as you, in your next inhale, if you can gently lift your arms up, letting your fingers trail behind so you feel a stretch in the tops of the wrists, backs of the forearms, and then maybe gently guide your hands down, letting again your fingers trail behind the wrists. So inhaling as you guide your arms up, exhaling as you bring your arms down. And you choose how big of a movement you want to do. Maybe you want to make this a smaller movement, more in the elbows, the wrists, and the fingers. Maybe it feels good to engage the shoulders a little bit more and lift the arms a little bit higher, a little bit lower. But just doing one more round here. Inhaling and lifting the arms up, exhaling and bringing the arms down. And then we're going to see if we can bend our elbows, let our forearms be more parallel towards the floor, let our palms face down towards the floor. And we're going to see if we can stretch the outer and inner sides of our wrists and forearms by inhaling and guiding the arms out, exhaling and guiding the hands in. And you choose again, how wide you want to bring out the arms. And as you bring your arms in, maybe keep a little space between the hands. And sometimes I like to think about this movement as I'm spreading out a tablecloth. But just exploring one more inhale. One more exhale here. And we're going to explore bringing these movements together. So we're going to bring our hands up, and then out, and then down, and then in, drawing a square. So maybe inhaling as you bring your hands up and out, exhaling as you bring your hands down and in. And for some of you, maybe staying with the square is what feels better for your wrists, your elbows, and your shoulders. Or maybe round the edges and make this a little more circular. But seeing how this movement can encourage all the joints in the upper arms to work together. Just doing one more circle or square in your first direction. And the next time you bring your hands out, see if you can bring your hands in and down, and then out and up. Changing the direction of your square. Maybe adding the breath again by inhaling as you bring your hands up and in, exhaling as you bring your hands down and out. Maintaining the square-like shape or turning it into a circle, if that better serves you. But seeing if you can work with your breath, work with the depth that works for your body, maybe noticing what's also already beginning to warm up from this pattern, or what light is lighting up in your awareness. So you do this for one more square or one more circle. And the next time you bring your arms down, relax them by your sides, maybe shake them out a little bit if that brought up any tension. And then we're going to move our awareness up towards the shoulders, but we're going to isolate and do a move for each side. If you need to wiggle in your seat to keep yourself feeling comfortably rooted, doing so. And then see if you can guide your awareness towards your right shoulder. And we're going to bring our right arm down by our sides and work with some shoulder rolls on each side. I'm going to give you a few options of how to use the arm to help open up the shoulder. One option is just going to be to maybe use the arm and the torso, gently bring the shoulder back. This might bring a little rotation into the torso, and then bring the shoulder any amount forward and then down. So maybe just letting the arm be soft down by your side, if that feels better for you. And see if you can use the rest of your body to help you roll your shoulder. Or maybe you want to use the lever of the elbow. And you could keep the elbow below the shoulder if you have something going on in your shoulder that prevents you from easily reaching the elbow overhead. Or maybe even bring your fingertips towards your shoulder or even touching. And explore maybe seeing how far you can draw the shoulder back, how far you can draw the elbow up, and how far you can bring the elbow down by your side. And circling with the elbow. Or it may be appropriate for you to use your whole arm. And layering on the breath here by inhaling as you bring your arm up or your shoulder up, exhaling as you bring your arm or shoulder down. Just doing 2 more rotations in your first direction. Honoring your body and doing less if you need to. And the next time you bring your arm down by your side, change direction. Drawing either just the shoulder forward and then up and then back. Again, seeing how the torso can help you roll the shoulder. Or maybe you also use the assistance of the elbow. Either keeping that elbow low or drawing a large circle with the elbow or using the whole arm. But finding a way to work with your shoulder that is appropriate for how it feels right now. You may feel things warming up. You may feel things start to tingle. But notice what you feel. What does this help you notice about you? Just one more rotation here. And then relaxing the arm down, maybe letting your right hand rest in your lap or down by your side if that feels more comfortable for you. And then exploring your second side, so lubricating the other shoulder. Maybe you already feel a difference between the sides, so check out that as well. And maybe first playing with guiding that shoulder back and then up and then forward and down. Keeping the arm just soft by your side or using your elbow any amount for this side. And it may be a completely different situation on this side, so you may need to pick a different option than you did on the first side. Maybe on this side it feels appropriate to bring fingertips to shoulder and draw larger circles with elbow, or explore using the full lever of the arm. But these shoulder circles help us maybe explore that kind of interconnection between the torso through the shoulder and also how the lever of the arm can help us open this part of our body. Work kindly with our shoulder joint. Just doing one more time in our first direction. And the next time you bring your arm down by your side, changing direction. Seeing what you can lubricate, either keeping the arm down by your side, using the elbow, and exploring your range of motion, or using the full arm. And this is one of the exercises in Qigong, one of the joint warm-ups that is supposed to be good for frozen shoulder. But we don't want to completely unfreeze or unstick our shoulder all at once. We kind of want to meet it where it's at. So seeing what is the right amount for this shoulder right now for 2 more rotations. Less if you need to, at any point. Because overall, we're trying to honor our body. Seeing what we can, how we can invite things to flow and circulate and move better. Shaking that out if you need to. And then bring your arms back to your lap. And we're going to give the upper body and the arms a break for a little while and focus more on the lower body. So we're going to step our feet out a little bit wider. Again, if you want to wiggle and adjust your position, your seat a little bit, doing so. Having your feet a comfortable distance for your hips in a gentle V shape. And we're going to explore kind of working the hips by also moving the torso around and doing a seated variation of some hip circles. And we're going to first check in though what's appropriate for the low back. So hinging a little forward from the hips, finding an amount of stretch for your low back that feels good. That feels like maybe you're working with some dull achiness, but nothing that's inhibiting the flow of your breath. If you feel you're guarding against this movement, back off. It's not about how low you go, it's the quality and the relationship that you're cultivating between your body and mind. What's motivating you to go deeper? And you can, and perhaps playing with moving a little bit over towards your right, feeling more of a stretch in your left side of your low back, then slowly moving back to center, and then experimenting with moving over towards your left, stretching the right side of your low back. And for some of you, maybe you want to move just a little bit from side to side. Or see, the next time that you bring your torso over towards your right, if you can lean back a little bit or come to neutral, and then gently circle forward. So circling the torso around the sit bones. And if you really pay attention, you may find that even by doing this circular movement in the torso, you feel it shift in weight even down into your feet. So try and notice how many parts of you are affected by doing this simple rotation. And how can you make this feel really enjoyable for you? And slowing down is going to help the awareness keep up with the changes in our sensations. So if it helps to kind of do this at your own pace by adding a breath pattern, you could exhale as you come forward, inhale as you move back. But just seeing what you can circulate with this pattern for one more time in your first direction. And the next time you slowly fold forward, we're going to change direction. But not being in a rush to make that transition. Maybe notice if something else crops up in your awareness just from changing direction. And all of these warm-ups are lubricating for our different joints, but also maybe bring a sense of softness to our body. Maybe seeing how we can move and still remain relaxed, still remain enjoyable, even as we're working out some achy spots. But if anything feels sharp, back off. Do something that's maybe not quite as deep. Just doing one more rotation here. And the next time you hinge forward, slowly making your way back up to a neutral seat. And then we're going to walk our feet in, maybe a little bit, or you can step your feet in, maybe still keeping them a little wider than your hips, and explore bringing your heels to maybe anchor a little bit forward out in front of you, but still keeping a soft bend in your knees. And we're going to continue to lubricate the joints in the lower body using some seated ankle circles, but doing it in a way where we'll also feel this rotation all the way up into the hips. And so having that generous bend in the knees is going to help us find that. But first checking in with something simple, just pointing and flexing the feet. Allowing this to gently pump the calf muscle, as well as explore how our ankles are feeling today. Maybe you spread and curl your toes. Just doing one more point, one more flex, and then keep a kind flex in your ankles, and then see if you can begin to circle. Just going nice and slow. Maybe almost feeling like your legs are kind of swimming through the air. Spreading and curling your toes, letting this lubricate your ankles and your knees and your hips. And have a sense of releasing for all the joints in the lower body, while still sitting up tall. Notice if now that you're focused on the lower body and your feet, if you're getting to round forward, see if you can still keep that length in the spine. Just doing one more circle in your first direction, and then gently changing direction. But again, see if you can find that sense of enjoyment as you move here. A lot of times the Taoists who practice these traditions would say that they should be practiced with a slight smile, to bring to mind that you should enjoy being embodied. You should find a way to really align and kind of work with your body. Have a better relationship between body-mind, a healthier relationship. Just doing one more circle here, and then shaking the legs out, drawing the feet back in, and then perhaps finding, again, your feet be a comfortable distance apart, which could be about your hips width, a little wider if you need it. And now we're going to focus more back up towards the torso and the spine. And I'm going to give you a few options for this next movement. And we're going to see if we can breathe with our spine. And one option is without arms. One option involves the arms. But first we're going to check again with our root, with our pelvis. And we're going to see if we can tilt the pelvis forward. Begin to bring a little arch to the low back. Stretch to the front line. Maybe you lift your sternum, you lift your gaze up. And then as you exhale, either choosing if it's more appropriate for you to come back to a neutral spine, or to tilt your pelvis back and round your low back, your mid back, your upper back, and maybe bring your gaze down. Inhaling and tilting your pelvis forward, arching your spine, bring your gaze up. Exhaling and either coming to neutral or rounding your spine. And I'm going to give you a few options to add the arms into this opening of the spine, this breathing with the spine. And one option is going to be, as you inhale, to just simply bring your hands back towards your hips. As you exhale, maybe let your hands drip towards your knees. It's okay if they don't quite touch. Inhaling and arching your spine. Exhaling and rounding your spine or coming to neutral. Again, honoring where your body's at. Because these practices were originally developed to aid our health, to maybe help ourselves heal. And so they often invite a sense of deep listening. And you may want to stay here. Or the next time you arch your spine, maybe draw your elbows back and down, maybe have a light fist to work the fingers. And as you exhale, coming to neutral, bring your arms any mountain forward to or around your spine. So this will maybe bring a little bit more opening across the heart center, a little bit more opening across the upper back, but you choosing how you want to play here. Breathing with your spine for 3 more breaths. Taking a break and just pausing and breathing, or doing less as you need to. What would aid your opening in your system? Only you know the answer and what's safest for you from moment to moment. But oftentimes we forget to listen. So maybe just doing one more inhale, one more exhale here. And then relaxing the arms down, coming back to a neutral spine. And then we're going to see if we can play with kind of doing some shaking. Not only may this release tension from the different connective tissues, the different fascia, as well as the muscles in the body, but it also can be in this tradition kind of help us clear out things that we want to let go of. And we're going to think about clearing it out and letting it shimmy out into the earth. And this move is called trembling horse. And if you've ever seen a horse shake off a fly or shake off water, they start at the head and then shake all the way down to the feet. So we're going to try and do that in our own experience. And if there's anything that you've noticed as you've kind of explored moving and warming up your body that you want to kind of shake out, whether that's tension or maybe a feeling or a lethargy or something that just feels stuck, thinking about shaking that out, releasing it out through your feet into the earth. So that's going to be the intention of this movement. But first, just checking out with the posture. So first start by just shaking out your wrists, trying to find an appropriate amount to shake out your wrists. And then move your awareness up towards your elbows. Shake out your elbows. This is also going to shake out your wrists. And then see if you can shimmy your shoulders. Maybe work into the ribs. And then shake in your seat. And if you are like me and have a squeaky chair, you're going to hear it squeak. And then shake out the knees. And then maybe gently bounce the feet. Just bouncing the heels a little bit. Just to get a little vibration and movement into the feet. So we're going to try that 2 more times. Maybe going a little faster this time. So shaking out the wrists. Shaking out the elbows. Shaking out the shoulders. Hips. Knees. Feet. And then trying that 1 more time. Shake it out the wrists. See if you can really feel yourself being like a horse. Shaking things out. Shaking out the elbows, shoulders, ribs, hips, knees, feet. And then let that go. And maybe just let your arms rest comfortably down by your sides. Keep your spine long. And notice how you feel after shaking things out. After having the intention to clear things out. Because in this tradition, not only can we invite Qi to circulate or move or kind of clear out through our posture, but also through our intention. So imagine all those things you kind of shook out, sinking into the earth, letting the earth recycle it. Letting it go. Maybe noticing how you feel now. Maybe you feel a little more awake or enlivened in your system, or just a little clearer. And then we're going to experiment with doing another movement. We're maybe going to bring a sense of elongation into the side body. And I find in doing this seated, it helps if you step your feet out a little bit wider. And we're going to play with pressing down with our right hand. And you choose how much flexion you want to place into the wrist. Pressing up with your left hand. So feeling that sense of elongation here. And again, if it's not appropriate for you to bring your elbow higher than your shoulder, having it in line with your shoulder, or maybe it feels good to reach up, pressing any amount up through the palm. And then we're going to see if, as we inhale, if we can just bring our hands to kind of float like we're holding a ball, kind of right around the navel. And then we're going to gently see if we can press down with the left hand and experiment with how much you want to reach the right arm up. So we're going to inhale, bring our hands kind of gently holding a ball in front of the navel. In Qigong, we call this area the lower dantian. And as we exhale, we're going to see if we can press down with the right and you mount up with the left. Inhaling, coming to center, exhaling, and pressing. And this move is called splitting heaven and earth. So you have one hand pressing down towards earth, one hand pressing up towards heaven. And just see if you can find your reach. Find that lengthening the side body. And how you want to open. As you just play with this. Maybe one more time towards each side. So inhaling, bring your hands to center, exhaling and pressing. Inhaling, bring your hands to center, exhaling and pressing. And then very gently bring your hands to kind of hold that ball in front of your lower dantian, the area that's kind of around the navel. It's almost like considered like a spherical shape. It also permeates through the low back. It's an energetic center that's associated with our physical essence, our Jing. So you just notice what you feel when you just turn your hands towards the center. And just pausing and breathing. Maybe if you can, drawing your breath lower in your torso. Breathing more in your belly. And then gently bring your hands towards your belly and let that go. Maybe step your feet in a little bit. Having your feet again be about hips width distance apart. And we're going to play with one more thing to kind of clear things out in our system. And we're going to first try to inhale, bring our arms out to the sides. And then we're going to see if we can, as we exhale, bring your right hand in front. Left hand could be down by your side or come behind you. And maybe you turn your gaze over towards your right. It's almost like you're tossing a ball, over towards your left. So gaze is over towards your left, but you have your right arm in front. And then inhale, bring your arms out. And then switch. Now bringing your left hand in front, right hand down by your side or back behind you, looking towards your right. Sometimes these things are easier to do than to say. Inhaling, coming to center. Exhaling, it's like you're tossing a ball over towards your left. Inhaling to center, exhaling, and tossing. And this movement's called counter swing. And maybe what you're thinking about is still anything that feels a little off in your system, anything you want to release or clear out, kind of this container that you have of your body, that you're imagining as you inhale that you're gathering energy in through your feet up to your dantian, up to your center here. And then as you exhale, it moves up through the torso, down and out through the arms, and you're tossing that stuff you want to let go of out through the palms of your hands. But if you're practicing with someone else, you're not tossing it on your neighbor, you're tossing it down into the earth. So maybe see how you can gently swing here and thinking about anything still left that you want to kind of release out, toss out, that you're kind of gathering vitality to kind of clear your system in through your feet from the earth, this energy, this earth chi in, and then as you exhale, you're moving it out through the palms of your hands, kind of tossing out anything that feels off in your system. So using your intention as well as your movement to clear things out. Just doing maybe one more time towards each side. And then slowly coming back to center, letting that go. And we're going to end with thinking of bring a movement to bring some balance to our system, to bring some harmony, and to maybe still kind of bring a little more vitality into our system. So we're going to start by bringing our hands so that they kind of mirror the curve of our pelvis. And then we're going to inhale our hands up towards our heart. As we exhale, we're going to kind of open up, almost like our embrace out. As we inhale, we're going to gather our hands in towards our heart. And as we exhale, we're going to let our hands settle down. So inhaling, bring our hands up towards your heart. Exhaling, opening arms out wide. Inhaling, gathering the hands in. Exhaling and allowing your hands to settle. So maybe you just want to work with the breath and the posture. Or if it's appropriate for you, see if you can add on an intention of inhaling, bring energy into your system with your breath. Exhaling, kind of releasing out anything that feels stuck out into the environment, out, and to let the earth take it. Inhaling, gathering more vitality in. And then exhaling, letting that settle down into your system to nourish you. Inhaling, bringing your hands up. Exhaling, opening your hands out wide, releasing out what no longer serves you. Inhaling, gathering more vitality your system needs as you inhale, and as you exhale, let that settle down into your system. And this move is called the golden ball. So if it helps you to think about drawing kind of vitality, more chi, more energy into your system, maybe imagining something that's gold, or golden energy that you're drawing in, which could be something in nature that's gold, such as the sun, or the petals of golden flowers. Imagine you can draw the essence of that in with your breath. And then maybe allow that to settle into your system. And then inhaling, gathering more gold into you. Exhaling, releasing anything that feels discolored or just off, out into the environment. Inhale, gathering more vitality from the environment. Exhale, let it settle within you. Just doing this one more round. And then gently let your hands just fold and settle over your belly, over your lower dantian. See if you can sit in a way where your body is comfortably aligned. And if you need to, you can sit back into the back of your chair so you have a little more support. Choosing to keep your eyes open or to close your eyes. And maybe once again, just find your breath. Notice how your body is aligned now. As well as maybe notice some of those intangible aspects of you once again. What does your energy level feel like at the end of your practice? What are your feelings? What is the pace and nature of your thoughts? What's the relationship between body and mind now? Do they feel a little more interconnected? And just settling here for 3 more breaths. And maybe gently blinking your eyes open if you've had them closed. And I just want to thank you for practicing with me today and exploring a seated version of a Qigong practice.